Hello everyone. In this lecture, uh, I will cover the topic related to software concept, types of operating system, and this comparison between the operating system. These all are the concept of basic distributed system concept. First of all, let us talk about the software concept. Software concept having this architecture. Whenever you are using the any distributed system software, it has this kind of layer. First of all, in your machine there is a hardware. This hardware basically uh, execute the process on the processors, and network the network that you are using, it is again LAN devices that you are using. These all are working as a hard working inside the hardware layer. Over the hardware layer, operating system microkernels are available. This microkernel basically uh, generates the system calls, and it communicate with the hardware. Services are available which is used by the applications. In between application and operating system, one distributed operating system is available. This distributed operating system is basically working on the concept of distributed programming support. This special distributed operating system is basically designed for the distributed system creation. This works in between application and OS. Now, this application is basically the GUI based application. By using the graphical user interface, user can interact with the application. User can interact inside the application, right? And this graphical user interface must be easy and understandable to the user so that they can access the application. For this, you must require the operating system. So based on this software concept, three types of operating systems are available. First is network operating system, second is distributed operating system, and third is microprocessor time sharing system. These three are the operating systems are available that you can use to design the distributed system. First, let us discuss about the network operating system. This network operating system having basically the workstations, and that all the workstations are connected by using the high speed networks. See here is the computers. In this image, this is a computer, this is another computer, and this is a file server. These all are connected using the high speed network. This network is basically used to communicate between the workstations. Each workstation in this network operating system is independent computer having their own operating system. They all have their own operating system. They have all the computers having memory also, and other resources like hard disk. They have their own file system. They have their own database system. Each workstation having are actually the disk full workstation, and they all are connected by using the network. Right now, the where you are generally using the network operating system concept. So just imagine the plan of your computer lab in your college. Your all the computers on which students are performing the program, they all are connected machines. One computer is works as a file server. All the student can store their created source program inside one file server. They can access that all the files on their local machines. You can imagine that one computer having a different operating system Windows, another computer having the different operating system Linux. Then also they can access the files from any computer. This Linux having the their own file system, this Windows having their own file system, both having their own operating system. So how this computer can communicate with the file server? They all are using the network layer protocols like file transfer protocol, FTP, TFTP to access the file. They can use the secure shell scripts to access the another computer. SSH is a protocol to access the cell of the computer. Remote login, remote logging, that means one person can, this person can log in inside the another computer which is available in a network by using the command rlogin, then machine name. You can use the command like this, rlogin, then machine name, then machine 2. Say for the example, this is the command to access the to provide the remote login on some remote machine from machine 1. rcopy, rcopy is a command which is used to, rcopy is a command which is used to copy some file from the remote machine, from our machine to remote machine, as well as from remote machine to our machine. So rcp is a command in which you are using the machine name, then file name, and machine 2, then file name. So this is the command which is used to create a copy of a file from remote machine to any other machine. So remote copy is again a command. So these all are the command which are works on the concept of network operating system. Generally, this file server maintains the RAID levels. RAID levels, that means it is maintaining the redundant array of independent disks. Multiple copies are available so that if one copy, one disk fails, then another disk can have the same data and they can another disk can generate the response. This network operating system basically works like a client server mechanism in which client generally request for the data. In this client server mechanism, uh, this client generally requests for the data, and it server replies for the requested data. So this mechanism is basically works like a client server mechanism. The second operating system is distributed operating system. In distributed operating system, actually this all the systems are connected with each other, and they actually creates a single image, single virtual machine view. It enables the distributed system to behave like a virtual uniprocessor. It provides the image like it is a single system. You cannot identify many computers are working together. It always provide you a uniprocessor system. That means only single computer is working behind the application logic. So it is called the distributed operating system. Even though the system operates on the collection of machines, though they are using many computers, then it also behave like a single computer. Now, if you are going to design such a distributed operating system, then these all are the characteristics which is followed by the distributed operating system. First is all the computers interact with each other. For that, they require the inter-process communication. So it always provides it always enables inter-process communication, IPC, to exchange the data using the network. To exchange the data using the network. So here, whenever they are accessing the data, they must have uniform mechanism for accessing the data. They must have uniform rules to provide the access mechanism. Second number is uniform process management mechanism. Process management mechanism, that means you must have the idea about the process state diagram. First of all, process creates, then it always waits in a ready queue. Then when it gets the CPU, it moves inside the run state, then it executes, it can wait for the inputs, then it always in a terminate state. So these 5 states are always available for the process: create state, ready state, running state, waiting state, and terminal state. So whenever there is a multiple processes are available in all the computers, they must have the uniform process management mechanism to manage the processes on the local machine. Because lots of computers are available, they must have uniform process management mechanism. The third one is uniform and visible file system. That means if some file is available in a local computer, or if some file is available in a remote computer, they must have uniform visible file system. Their names must be same, their type, their format must be same. So uniform visible file system must be required. User cannot able to identify whether it is accessing from the local machine file or whether he is accessing from remote machine file, right? So it is called the uniform and visible file system. Never get the idea about where this file actually stored. Identical kernel implementation means kernel generally understand the system calls. The all computers must have similar system calls. Local control of machines. All CPUs are handling the processes on their local computers. They must have local control over the process to handle the process on a single computer. So local control of machines are available on each and every machine. Handling of scheduling issue. All the CPUs must be capable to handle the processes available on the self computer. They can use any scheduling algorithm to execute the available processes. If some computer having many process, then that computer should decide which scheduling algorithm is best to execute this all the processes to generate the output. So this all are the characteristics that must be followed by the distributed operating system. And the third one is multiprocessor time sharing system. In this multiprocessor processing time sharing system, combination of tightly coupled software and tightly coupled hardware with a multiple CPU projecting as a uniprocessor image. Though there is a 2 CPUs are available in this image, then also this whole system works like a uniprocessing system. And these all are tightly coupled. That means inside the processor, all the wires are tightly coupled. You cannot remove any of the CPU from that already designed processor. Here, one task queue is available and it is shared and once shared memory is available, all the processes stores their data in a shared memory. And one scheduler is available. This scheduler schedules the processes on the CPUs and schedule to be execute time shared mode on available processors. Here is a 2 CPUs are available. Then process can execute any one of the processor at the same time. For that, scheduling algorithms are available. They can use any scheduling algorithm. This is the mechanism, and this mechanism is available inside Unix time sharing systems. Here is a memory. In this memory, the number of processes are available. They all are in a queue. This is the run queue, and A, B, C, D, E, these 5 are the processes. This ready, running, these are the state of the processes. currently two CPUs are available. This A and B are in a running state. This A is currently executing on CPU 1. This B is currently executing on the CPU 2, and only two CPUs are available with this system, so that another three have to wait, and these three are waiting in a queue, and you can see it over here. C, D, E and E are waiting inside the queue to get the CPU. So when this process A and process B completes, this D, B and E can uh, get the chance for the execution from the CPU. This all the processes uses the shared disk to store the data. Now, whenever there is a shared memory approach, and if more than one processes wants some shared data, they must use the lock and unlock mechanism. They must use the mutual exclusion concept to access the data, because more than one processes wants the same data at the same time. Your system might be in a inconsistent state if you are giving the access at the same time. So for that, these systems are generally using the mutual exclusion lock and unlock mechanism. The scheduling algorithms can be used by operating system. They can use the round robin algorithm to schedule the process, so that they can complete the execution of all the process, and they can reduce the waiting time for the process. So generally round robin algorithm are used by this scheduler to schedule the process, so that waiting time can be reduced. And this is about the multiprocessor time sharing system. Next is the comparison of different operating system. Compare this all the concepts of operating system based on the criteria is given. First criteria is projects a virtual uniprocessor image. Can you find out there is a only single computer in a network operating system? No, we cannot find out. Can you find out as a single image? Yes. In a distributed operating system? Yes. In multiprocessing time sharing system? Yes. This whole system works as a single uniprocessor. Second criteria is runs same operating system. All the nodes having same operating system require or not? Here in network operating system, you can use any kind of operating system in your on your nodes. In DOS, all the computer must have similar operating system. In multiprocessor time sharing system, again you require a similar operating system. Number of copies of operating system required. Here in multiprocessing time sharing system, you require only single copy of operating system, so that it runs the same operating system. Yes. And here is the single copy of operating system is required. Here n number of copy is required. Here again, if you have n number of nodes, n number of computers, you require n number of copies of operating system required. Now communication process of a files. How this file communication is done? Here by using the sharing mechanism, here by using the message passing mechanism. In distributed operating system, they are using message passing mechanism to exchange the data. Here only single disk is available, so that it is again using the sharing mechanism. Network protocols require or not? Here you require a network protocols like FTP, TFTP, RLogin. Here again you require network protocol to exchange the data, to send and receive the data over the network. Here in multiprocessor time sharing system, you do not require any network protocol because it is internal system, so you don't require it. Single run queue जैसा कुछ होता. Is there any queue is available in NOS? No queue is available. In DOS, no queue is available. Here single running queue is available, so that They can manage and schedule the process easily on multiple CPUs. Well-defined file sharing. In NOS, usually no, all can use their own file system. In DOS, you must require similar kind of file system, file sharing concept. In multi-processing time sharing system, again you require it. So all of you clear about the comparison between different operating system? I am going to end the session over here. Thank you all of you. The next topic I will cover in my next lecture.